What's good? What's happening, everybody?
There's
It's your
really
boy Ferris.
vibes to the intro.
Yeah, I do. What's good? What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Ferris Madonna, and welcome to another edition of The Rally, a tennis recap show. I am your host, Ferris Madonna, but I am not alone. I'm never alone. I am with my right hand woman. It is the one, the only. It is Adelia. Adelia, how are you?
I'm doing good, Ferris. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. I'm doing quite well. On this episode, we're gonna be breaking down tennis paradise itself, Indian Wells in Southern California. We got new champions. New champions were crowned. Uh, are we seeing a new dawn of an era? Are we seeing someone going to end up fighting Iga Swiatek in the top? Maybe, maybe not, because at this moment it's gonna look like
I don't
Swiatek
know.
ain't got
She's beaten her twice this year now. So
exactly. That's what, so does Iga Swiatek? Does she have a Achilles heel in the name of Miss Elena Rybakina? She won the female Indian, the women's side of Indian Wells. That is her first Master 1000 tournament. She beats Arena Sabalenka. She gets revenge for the final of this year's Australian Open. Beat her in straight sets, but the first set went to a tiebreak, and it was a phenomenal tiebreak where Rybakina won 13-11. But now let's get right into it. Let's cut the fat, get right to the steak. The women's final, the numbers are Rybakina 7 aces, Sabalenka 4 aces. And right here it was. This was the story of the match. 2 double faults for Rybakina. 10 double faults for Sabalenka. All 10 were hit in the first set. She had 11 double faults in her previous 4 matches combined. It went, in her, and then let's get right down to more numbers. First serve percentage, 52% Rybakina, 63% Sabalenka. First serve points won, 64% Rybakina, 68% Sabalenka. Second serve points won right here. The big difference. 52% Rybakina, 33% Sabalenka. In the breakpoint category, 3 out of 10 for Rybakina because Sabalenka kept coming back. Champions resolve. Then it was 2 for 6 for Sabalenka. Rybakina saved 2 set points in the epic first set tiebreaker. It was her first win over Sabalenka and her first tournament title since becoming Wimbledon champion last July. Rybakina beat both the number 1 and number 2 ranked players to win the tournament. The first time that feat has happened at Indian Wells ever on the women's side. I don't know if it's the men's side if that's happened, but I know on the women's side it's the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Rybakina becomes the first woman to defeat a 1 and 2 at the same tournament in straight sets since 2017 when Garbina Muguruza did in Cincinnati in 2017. Rybakina is now 4 and 8 in tour level finals, reaching a career high of number 7 on the WTA rankings on Monday, which honestly should be higher because
should be higher.
Wimbledon she didn't get anything for him. She's a top 5, probably top 3 player in the world, but that number 7 next to her name is very deceiving. It's very deceiving. So whoever gets her in the draws because of the way they seed them, they're screwed because she's not your normal number. She would probably be ranked 7 in the tournament or 6, depending on withdrawals, So 7, 6. So she's not your regular 7 or 6 seed player in tournaments. She's a Grand Slam champion, a Masters 1000 champion, and she is not here to play. Sabalenka suffered her second defeat in 19 matches this year. Second time. Sabalenka did say in her post-match press conference that she was extremely disappointed in her serve and that she was back to her old habits. Her old habits were last year she couldn't hit the bright side of a barn on her serve, where she started to serve underhand.
Yeah.
And it was kind of
dire at times serve underhand, yeah.
Yeah, so it was dire straits for Sabalenka. Adelia, let me get your thoughts on this match. It was a cracker of a match. It was cracking.
It was a spectacular match.
It was tremendous. Great tennis. Your thoughts?
I thought Elena Rybakina played extraordinarily well. She played really well down in Australia too. It's just that Sabalenka was at that same level in Australia and just a little bit better here. Sabalenka's serve really, really let her down, and I really hope that she fixes that in practice before she starts playing in Miami, because she played so well in Indian Wells with the serve until this final. Like you said, 10 double faults all in the first set. She double faulted on some really key points in that tiebreak as well, including the double fault that gave Rybakina the set point that she finally converted. It was an epic first set tiebreak. 23 points, I believe, or 24 points.
24, yes.
24 points. Epic first set tiebreak. And really, really high quality match. And these two ladies are developing a rivalry that I really want to see continue for years to come.
Rybakina had, I think, 5 set points. 6. She had 6. She converted on. It was 6. She converted on the 6th, but 5 set points prior to that. Arena. I'm like, yo, this is where Arena loses. Right here. Then bam, she finds a backhand. She finds a backhand. She's like, there's this one. I think there was this one point where Rybakina hits it, and it's far, right? And the ball is already crossed. It hit in, and it's already crossing to the outside, right, Adelia? And Sabalenka comes with the backhand, and you think it's gonna go cross court. Like, that's what I assumed. I was like, oh, she's gonna go cross court because that's the trajectory. She hits it down the line, and it kind of like, I don't know, it curved in, like it bounced in.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
there were some spectacular shots in that tiebreak for sure.
And it felt like backhand forehand. That's what it felt like. Like a lot of she did have some forehand winners, Sabalenka, but most of her winners were backhand. So she was backhanding for the winners, and Rybakina was coming back with the forehand, because there was one time on Sabalenka's serve, she served it, and it was a hard serve, and Rybakina just swaps it and hits it down the line, and she like goes wham, and then it goes down the line, and it was like instantaneous point like that. It was like, whoa, goodness gracious. And then the reason I think Rybakina won this match was, at moments, you're like, she's about to smash this tennis ball. Like, she's going to smash it with pure power. She reduced the power and just let it, and just whacked it, and it just floated up there, and just, boom, and it hit and just float out there. Because there was just moments where Sabalenka the finesse shot. Sabalenka, there was moments where she hit it so hard one time, it almost hit a fan. It almost hit a fan. Like, it was like this couple, and this old dude was like, oh my God. And it hits the box instead of the fan, so that was good. Then there was moments where Sabalenka would like whack it, and it almost took off Rybakina's head, like it almost whapped her in the head. But Rybakina had to dive, like kind of duck. So like it's like she was coming with the power, but then Rybakina also had power. But then there were just moments where Rybakina was like, one moment, bing, point, and you're like, oh, smooth, because Sabalenka was ready for the power shot. And then Sabalenka was ready for the power shot, and Rybakina just like ding, and it was like wow, tremendous. What about you, Adelia? What did you think?
I thought that there was great variety in Rybakina's game in this match, and I think that that's good to see. I like it when the women's players have that power game, but also have the finesse shots, the drop shot, the ability to change up the pattern of play, and I think Rybakina did that really well in this match, and it threw Sabalenka off at points in that tiebreak, especially.
Yeah, I think seeing her against Iga Swiatek in that semifinal, Iga Swiatek, she's pretty good. She's dang good. By the way, Iga Swiatek and Ben Shelton are now Roger Federer athletes. Shout out to them. They got signed by On Running, or whatever thing Roger does.
Roger's agency thing.
No, his apparel deal.
Oh, his apparel thing. Okay, I thought you were talking about the agency.
So, no, him and her and Shelton are now Roger Federer sponsored athletes. Shout out to Roger Federer, killing the game, bro. Shout out to you, man. The Swiss Army knife. Damn, now I sound like Brad Gilbert.
Now you sound like Brad Gilbert.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was pretty bad.
We had something happen in the men's final that someone hadn't done since Roger Federer did it. Speaking of Federer.
But now we're about to talk about it right now. But I just want to say, like, Iga Swiatek, she looked unstoppable. She looked like a machine. She has some competition though. She has some competition though. That's all I gotta say. Adelia, take us through the men's final. Oh, sorry.
Let me just comment on what
Your
you
thoughts.
said there. Iga has a tremendous amount of points lead on everybody still, but I think that that's going to close. The gap's going to close as the season goes on. So I think that it's we're looking for some good stuff coming up here at the clay court season after Miami. But the men's final, Carlos Alcaraz defeats Daniil Medvedev 6-3, 6-2, and it wasn't that close. The numbers, Alcaraz had 1 ace, Medvedev had 2 double faults. Medvedev had 0 aces, and Alcaraz had 0 double faults. The serving from Alcaraz was insane. He served 76% of his first serves in. He won 81% of those points. Medvedev 65% of his first serve points in, 61% of his first serve points won. Second serve points won, Alcaraz 58%, Medvedev 31%. Alcaraz was 3 for 3 on break points. Medvedev never had a break point. Alcaraz became the youngest man to win both Indian Wells and Miami. He, of course, is now the defending Miami champion. And he's also the second teenager to win at least 3 Masters 1000 tournaments. He also won Madrid last year. The teenager with the most Masters 1000 titles is Rafa Nadal. He won 6 when he was in his teens.
The GOAT.
Alcaraz is also the first man to win Indian Wells without losing a set since Roger Federer did it in 2017. Prior to the match, the day before, Alcaraz had told reporters that Medvedev was a wall and he was going to have to make everything perfect in order to beat him. He did that. He did that well. Medvedev had won 19 consecutive matches and his last 3 tournaments, but told the crowd during the trophy ceremony, "Sorry, I didn't make this final entertaining." I think he knew that he'd not put in a good performance on Sunday. Alcaraz's win sent him back to number 1 in the ATP rankings, at least temporarily. He's still only 19 years old, and this is his second stint at number 1 already. And he has to repeat as champion in Miami to keep the top spot in the rankings, though. If you look at the live rankings on openerarankings.com, he's already back down behind Novak Djokovic because they've taken off the Miami points from last year. The only way he can get past Djokovic again, even though Djokovic isn't playing Miami, is to win Miami. So Carlos Alcaraz might be number 1 again, but only for a couple of weeks, depending on how Miami results go. This match was not that close. It was just Alcaraz in dominant fashion over Medvedev, and Medvedev looked pedestrian and like an amateur out there at times. It was incredible to watch. And the fact that this kid is this good, this young, is something else. Fares, what do you think?
He's not a human being. I don't think he's human. I don't think that man is human. I'm a big fan of Jannik Sinner. Let me tell you why I'm bringing up Jannik Sinner. I think Jannik Sinner is a pretty damn good tennis player. I think Jannik Sinner gave 110%, and every time he plays tennis, I go back to that U.S. Open match with him and Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner gave his entire body. There's moments where Jannik Sinner couldn't walk straight because his entire body. But Jannik just couldn't beat this kid. He just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He just couldn't do it because there's just moments where he just brought some out. He just brought something out and just won. And I'm just like, this kid's outrageous. This kid is outrageous. Like, for real. I'm generally like, what is this kid? 19 years old. This is my teenage phenom. The kid I'm going to watch, because this is my teenage phenom. I didn't see the teenage phenomenon of Serena Williams. I didn't see the teenage phenomenon of Rafa Nadal. I didn't see those because I wasn't a big tennis fan back then. This is my teenage phenom. This is mine right here. I'm claiming him. He's mine. All right. Shout out to you, Carlos Alcaraz. You should come on the show. And it's just like goodness gracious, bro. Like, Daniil Medvedev looked unstoppable these past 3 tournaments. He looked like, Medvedev is cooking. He's cooking with some gas. And Medvedev survived.
You are playing very well if you win 19 matches in a row.
Exactly. And Carlos Alcaraz says, I have to be perfect to beat him. And then Carlos Alcaraz proceeds to be perfect. I go, Like people will go, oh, I gotta be perfect to beat this man, blah 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 blah. Blah. And sometimes you're not perfect. You don't beat you know what I mean? Like people kept saying like, oh, how do you beat Rafa, Roger, Novak? You gotta be perfect. You gotta be perfect to beat them. And then most people weren't perfect. Carlos Alcaraz said, I gotta be perfect to beat Daniil Medvedev. And then Carlos Alcaraz then proceeds to do what he said: be perfect. Straight sets. Neil Medvedev is no like he's like the world number 3. Right? Unless
I'll
they
check the
change it.
rankings when you do that. I don't think he's world number 3. I don't think he's quite that high.
4?
I'm gonna look right now.
He's 5.
He's 5. He's 5. Okay.
He's 5. Casper Ruud is 4. Stefanos Tsitsipas is 3. And Carlos Alcaraz, man, it's just nonsense. That man is just pure unmitigated nonsense. You know what I do? I go back and I watch that U.S. Open match against Yannick Sinner. I just have it on.
It's a great match.
It's like a phenomenal match. It's amazing. I remember that stat they had is like, oh, there's only been a couple of matches that have gone over 3 hours of the U.S. Open, and like 5 of them, 3 out of the 5 were like Carlos Alcaraz matches. You're like, and they all happen at the same tournament. You're like, what the?
They all have match. Yeah.
It was like, what? What? This is
Speaking
crazy.
of Yannick Sinner, he played a great match against Alcaraz played a great match against Sinner in the semifinals at Indian Wells. They are seeded to potentially face each other in the semifinals in Miami as well. So that's a match to look forward to.
Always look forward to that match. Always. Yeah. Because they bring out the heat. They bring out the big guns. Guns. Also, too, man, I was extremely disappointed in Felix Auger-Aliassime. I know it was a tough match against Daniil Medvedev, but I felt like there wasn't a lot of fight on occasion. I feel like he should have, unless I was misgleaming his body language and him as a player, probably. But I have hopes for Felix.
Felix is a very chill player most of the time. It's hard to tell. Sometimes whether there's that deep drive to come back and win this match there or not. So I get what you're saying.
Any other highlights of Indian Wells, Adelia? We know we went past the final because it's the final and we kind of missed a little recaps of the quarters and the semis. We kind of focused on the final. Anything that popped to your eye? Any match? Any storyline that you kind of were like, hey, that's pretty cool at Indian Wells?
Pink being there was quite fun. I think Charlize Theron was at the final as well.
She was,
which I thought was cool.
Shout out to Rod Laver as well.
I really enjoyed the Iga and Elena Rybakina match. I thought that was great. I thought the match between Petra Kvitova and was it Jessie Pegula that she played?
Yes.
Was fantastic. That match was fantastic. There were a lot of really, really high quality matches. So
was it set 1 or 3 that they went to that epic tiebreaker? I think that was 3.
It was set 3.
I think it was set 3. There's also some. We also brought up. I think I brought up on a previous recap episode. There's also accusations of cheating.
There were accusations of cheating.
Yeah, they were. I don't know who. Okay, was it Caroline Siniakova accused Maria Sakkari? Was it her?
Katerina Siniakova. I think it was Karolina Pliskova.
Karolina Pliskova accused Maria Sakkari of cheating, saying the ball touched her racket, and so there was a little controversy there. So Tennis Paradise had everything. How do you like the new branding?
There were a lot of
of Tennis Paradise.
I was just gonna say there were a lot of really phenomenal 3-set matches at Indian Wells. Tennis Paradise is interesting to me. I mean, I feel like if you want to call your tournament that's fine. Like, I don't know that I'd consider Indian Wells California Paradise, but I love this tournament, Indian Wells. I think it's a great tournament. I always enjoy watching it. So the players seem to love it. It's known as the 5th slam for a reason. So
why? Why is that?
I think the tournament treats the players really, really well. It's a 2-week tournament, draw of 128, just like a slam is. even though there's not 128 competitors because there's the first round buys for the seeds. It's just always produces really great high quality tennis, and Miami does as well. I'm really looking forward to watching Miami for the next couple of weeks. So the Sunshine Double back to back this month of March in the tennis calendar is really a lot of fun to watch. These are the two tournaments that the Indian Wells was the first tournament I ever watched when I started watching tennis. So it has like a soft spot in my heart because of that. But these are phenomenal tournaments, and the Sunshine Double is great.
I want to know what the first tournament I ever watched was, Adelia?
What, Fares?
It was Australian Open, 2017.
Yeah.
Naomi Osaka. Wait, no, I don't think that was this 2017? When did
Maybe.
Naomi win one? When did Naomi beat Victoria Azarenka?
Victoria Azarenka?
Yeah, she beat Victoria Azarenka in the final in Australia.
That was at the U.S. Open.
Then who did she beat? Who did she beat
won
in
the
Australia?
She won the 2020 U.S. Open over Victoria Azarenka. Let me pull up the Grand Slam results for. She beat Petra Kvitova in 2019 in Australia, and then she beat Jen Brady in 2021 in Australia.
2019.
She won the 2020 U.S. Open over Victoria Azarenka.
So it was the 2019 Australian Open. She beat Petra Kvitova. I don't know.
It was a phenomenal match.
I don't know why I was awake. It was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was on ESPN because ESPN. You sports surf on ESPN. See if anything. I've watched darts. I've watched CrossFit. I've watched lacrosse on ESPN, and then it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, I think, and tennis was on, and I was like, "Oh, Serena Williams," not knowing that it wasn't Serena Williams. So I put on the Australian Open, and then I'm watching these two women. I'm like, "Oh snap!" This is the first time I ever saw Naomi Osaka. 2019. Yeah, first tennis match I ever watched.
That was her when she's done this twice now. She's won the U.S. Open and then won the Australian Open back to back. So she won 2018 the U.S. Open against Serena, and then 2019 Australian Open against Petra, and then she did it 2020 U.S. Open and 2021 Australian. Yeah. I hope Naomi comes back and gets back to that level because she's a phenomenal player.
It wasn't the first match I ever watched fully because I hopped in and they're already like, I think they're already like in a set. I think Naomi was up a set or something, or I don't remember. So like it wasn't a full match. That was actually the first match I ever watched from start to finish.
Yeah,
had to be one of the Australian Open matches. The last year with Ash Barty, or was it Ralph? I think it was Ash Barty because I remember only being there for like an hour. So probably Ash Barty. So yeah,
probably
Ash Barty.
Yeah,
I think Ash Barty definitely. There's a lot of tennis going on at the same time. Like I don't know how people
there is.
Yeah, like Adelia can attest to this. There was one day where I had 3 tennis matches on. I was watching 3 tennis matches as I was talking to her, and I was just going like, I had my laptop, I had my screen, I had my other screen, and then on my screens I can have more than one tab. So I had 2 games on one screen, and I had a game on one screen, and I had another game. I had all 4. I had at one moment at Indian Wells there was 4 individual like one-on-one matches between men and women. I had 2 on one screen, I had 1 on another screen, I had 1 on my laptop. It had 4 tennis matches just like playing around.
I've done that before.
I'm like, just like tennis.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
Yeah. I've done that before.
Your overall thoughts on this Indian Wells tournament?
I thought it was great. I thought there were a lot of phenomenal matches, some fantastic 3-set matches on both the men's and women's side. And I thought that it was just a lot of fun. There wasn't, there was the Maria Sakkari and Karolina Pliskova thing, and there was the Spartak Moscow jersey wearing of Potapova, but other than that, there wasn't like a ton of controversy. There wasn't any massive, horrible news that broke or anything like that. So I really enjoyed this tournament.
How do you think our Americans did? How did you think?
I thought they did pretty well. I mean, Taylor Fritz got pretty far in defending his title and ran into Medvedev. Is Medvedev he lost to?
I think so. No, Sinner.
Sinner. Oh, right, Yannick Sinner. I thought that he did really well. I mean, that was a 3-set match as well between Fritz and Sinner. So, I thought they did good. Like, the Americans, even though you want the Americans to win, especially on American soil, they're not going to win every tournament. So I thought Taylor did great in backing up as many of his points as he possibly could. And, now they're down in Miami, and we'll see who can do what down there.
Speaking of Miami, we're gonna be coming back with a couple of videos about Miami. So be on the lookout for that. Right now I think it's the early matches are going on.
Round 1 of the WTA draw is happening right now. Today's the final day of ATP qualifying, I think. So
yeah, so there's ATP qualifying, and the draw. So wait, so the draw is out?
The draws are out, yeah. I highlighted some potential second round matchups for us to talk about. Carlos Alcaraz is going to start against either a qualifier or Facundo Bagnis. That should be a pretty easy win for him. But Spaniard versus an Argentine in Miami means the crowd will be a lot of fun if that's the matchup with Bagnis. Stefano Tsitsipas is going to play either Richard Gasquet or a qualifier. Casper Ruud against Ilya Ivashka or a qualifier. With the way Casper Ruud's been playing, that's a dangerous matchup for him, depending on who it is. Bruna could be playing either Pedro Kashin or Martin Fucsovics. If that's Fucsovics, that's a kind of dangerous match for Runa. Taylor Fritz against another American. It'll be either Emilio Nava or John Isner. Sasha Zverev is going to be up against either Taro Daniel or Arthur Rinderknecht. Taro Daniel played really, really well in Indian Wells, so it'll be interesting to see how he backs that up. Roberto Bautista Agut versus... Okay, what?
What was someone at Indian Wells that was unseeded or unknown that kind of like took your eye? Mine was Emil Rusevori. Yeah. He
was fantastic, and he should have beaten Sasha Zverev in that match.
Speaking of Emil Rusevori,
he's up against a qualifier in the first round, and then he could play Roberto Bautista Agut if he makes it through that match. This is one of the ones that really I highlighted. Dan Evans against either Lorenzo Sonego or Dominic Thiem. That's a first round match that I'm definitely going to tune into, because Dominic Thiem, if he can start getting it together, ever since his wrist injury, he's not been the same player. But if he can start getting it together, he can get back to the form he was at when he won the U.S. Open. That would be really fantastic. And Lorenzo Sonego is going to be a tough first round match for him. And then Dan Evans in the second round would be tough as well. We've got Gael Monfils back. He's going to be playing Ugo Humbert in the first round to play Miramir Kekmanovic in the second round. Maxim Cressy, the American. Maxim Cressy, the American, will be up against Andy Murray or Dusan Lajovic. Interesting to see how Andy Murray does. Can he win a straight sets match? Or is he going to have to go through more epics where people are wondering if Andy Murray can ever win in straight sets again to get through this? Ben Shelton in Paris is seeded in Miami. He's the 32nd seed. And he'll be playing either Adrian Manarino, the veteran Frenchman, or Song Chang, who is a Chinese wildcard. So
nice.
Great to see Ben Shelton seeded and into the second round of Miami. And then on the women's side, we've got some doozies. Some of these have already been decided. So we've got Iga Swiatek going up against Claire Liu in the second round.
Ben Shelton, Swiatek, Roger Federer.
Arina Sabalenka is going to play either Sloane Stephens or Shelby Rogers, so she'll be playing an American in the second round. That's a good matchup. Jessica Pegula will be playing either Catherine Seebob, the Canadian, or Linda Fruhvirtova. Coco Gauff versus the Canadian Rebecca Marino. My apologies. This is the matchup in the second round already, in my opinion. This next one. Maria Sakkari will be playing the winner of Bianca Andreescu and Emma Raducanu.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We also have Daria Kasatkina against Elise Mertens. That'll be a good match. Belinda Bencic will be playing the winner of Lesia Sharenko and Leylah Fernandez. that'll be a good match, especially if it's Bencic versus Fernandez. Elena Rybakina is going to take on Anna Kalinskaya. Victoria Azarenka will be playing either Camila Giorgi or Kaya Kanepi. Kaya Kanepi is a tough out, and I think Camila Giorgi was up a set on her when I last looked at that match. And Anastasia Potapova will be playing Marta Kostyuk, who won in Austin. So that'll be interesting, especially given Kostyuk being Ukrainian and Potapova having the controversy in Indian Wells with the Spartak Moscow jersey.
Oh, snap, crackle, pop. That's going to be crazy.
It's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
But that is some notable potential second round matchups in Miami. We will be back to talk about the Miami tournament more in depth as it goes on. Not sure how many episodes we're going to do on Miami yet, but we will figure that out.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, but on that note, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's kind of a shorter show because we only really talked about 2 matches, the final. Because really, let's be real, at this moment in time, the finals were all kind of mattered. We kind of missed the semis and the quarters. That's fine. But we may be adjusting some of our videos to tennis. But on that note, Adelia, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Adelia Chambo. You can find me hosting Starting 11 with my buddy Snark. That's Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific here on this channel. Let's Get Ready Network, the highlights. And on the audio feed as well. Shout out to the audio feed listeners.
Starting
we
11.
appreciate you. That would be Snark. And we'll be on Playoff Beards this weekend. Me and Snark co-hosting Playoff Beards. And Ryan Christensen will be our guest on Playoff Beards this weekend. So that'll be 3 p.m. Pacific on Sunday.
Nice. Guys, I'm Fares Malone. You can follow me at Fares Malone on Twitter. Shout out to all the audio feed members. We appreciate everyone listening. You can find us on Spotify. You look up Let's Get Ready Network, the highlights. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Republic, Pod Follow. You name it, we are there. Just look up in the search bar, Let's Get Ready Network, the highlights. And in lieu of Danny yelling at me, also the Brazilian Podcasting Network. All right. So thank you guys so much. That one doesn't exist. I don't think, does it exist? I don't know.
I don't think that exists.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. That was just for Danny. But on that note, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate the support. We're just a couple tennis fans talking some tennis. Do we know?
We're not
everything?
experts.
We're not experts, especially me. You clearly know that by listening to this podcast. Because do I even know what I'm talking about? Probably not. But I enjoy watching the game. Great tennis is a great watch. And shout out to everyone at Indian Wells for giving it their all. Because there was times where like even some of the straight set matches, they were like hard fought straight set matches. You know what I mean? Like it was, I know someone looked at it and it was like he won 6-4, 6-4, or she won 6-4, 6-4. But it was a grinding 6-4, 6-4. So shout out to everyone.
Really high quality tennis.
Really high quality tennis. We're gonna go. We'll see y'all in a couple of days from Miami. Have a wonderful night. See y'all later. Peace.